President-elect Donald Trump plans to launch a mass deportation operation targeting millions of immigrants living in the U.S. illegally and with temporary protections. Here's what we know about this population. There were roughly 11 million immigrants in the U.S. illegally or with a temporary status at the start of 2022, a figure that some analysts say has increased to 13 to 14 million. Ted Hessen is an immigration reporter for Reuters who has looked into where they now reside.
Among the 11 million that were estimated in the U.S. in 2022, the biggest state, home state for them was California, where you had a little more than 2 million. And that's according to one estimate that we looked at by a nonpartisan think tank called the Center for Migration Studies of New York. After California, Texas was another state that had a high number, a little under 2 million. Also, New York, New Jersey, Illinois were all top states where immigrants were living without legal status.
Nearly half of the immigrants in the U.S. illegally in 2022 came from Mexico, amounting to 4.8 million of 11 million overall, according to a U.S. Department of Homeland Security report. Other top countries were Guatemala, El Salvador, and Honduras.
In recent years, we've seen an increase from other countries, from Cuba, Venezuela, Nicaragua, and Haiti as well. And that's less reflected in these estimates because they're from 2022. And I expect that as we get newer estimates that look at 2023 and 2024, we'll see that those populations rose to some degree as well.
Most of the immigrants in the country illegally are 18 to 54, according to a Homeland Security report, and they work in a number of fields.
From construction to agriculture to hospitality, and you see that across various states, that these tend to be the work places that they're working in. And I think that's something to keep in mind when you talk about the population that's here without legal status. They're often working in industries where it's an open secret that these industries are hiring people without legal status.
The estimates of immigrants in the U.S. illegally typically include people who have temporary humanitarian protections, meaning they would not be immediately deportable.
That's available to people whose country has been affected by a natural disaster, an armed conflict, or another extraordinary reason that the Department of Homeland Security deems they can't go back to their home country. So right now, there's a little more than 1 million people who currently have some form of protection under that program, including people from Haiti, people from El Salvador, and other countries.
This also includes the so-called Dreamers, immigrants who fall under the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program, or DACA, which allows people who are brought to the U.S. illegally as children or overstay a visa as a child to obtain deportation relief and work permits. Trump tried to deport these people during his first term in office, but was blocked by the U.S. Supreme Court.